when my dad talks, I can't really hear him often.
Before I couldn't hear my friends and when they was talking to me. And like they'll say something and they'll repeat themselves like twice or 3 times.
Yeah, only sometimes they leak sometimes and they hurt a little.
Hi, I'm David Wirapunda and this is my partner Shannon, and we're here to talk about a serious condition affecting kids in our community and may have affected or even be affecting your child.
Ear infections happen a lot in Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander children. It may start happening from birth and we don't even know.
Ear infections, also known as middle ear disease, can damage kids' hearing. This can cause problems for kids because when they can't hear, they can't learn.
Children learn to speak by hearing family members talking around them from when they are babies. But kids with ear infections who can't hear well might not learn to talk as well as kids without hearing problems. Kids who haven't learnt to speak as well as they could have because they have had lots of ear infections will often have problems at school, learning to read, write and listen to their teachers.
The World Health Organisation says that when a population have greater than 4% illness of some kind, it is considered a huge health issue. Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people have 3 times the rate of middle ear disease than non-Indigenous Australians. In Australia, between 12 and 98% of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander children have middle ear infections. That's certainly a lot more than 4%.
This means that a lot of kids in our schools and communities can't hear or can't hear well.
When you look at the ear, you only see a very small section of all the parts that help you hear well. The outer ear, which is the part you can see, catches the sounds and sends it down to the eardrum. The eardrum blocks our ear canal so water and other things can't get inside our head. It also traps sound as it comes down the canal. Behind the eardrum are 3 small bones that move when sound hits the eardrum. These 3 bones link the eardrum to the inner ear, where messages are sent to the brain and are processed for you to understand.
And living on the reserve in camps and that, you know, there wasn't much hygiene around, and a lot of the little ones just started off with it, and then as they went to school and grew up, that was it. And a lot of our old people went deaf very early in life.
You have to continually emphasise the importance of hearing and how it plays an enormous part in their lives. Because what you don't pick up now, you don't use, and that's a loss you'll never find again.
Middle ear disease happens behind the eardrum when infection causes fluid to build up.
This fluid starts off thin like water, but over time it gets thick and stops the bones from moving.
The thick fluid stops sound getting into the inner ear, and your child ends up with a hearing loss. Sometimes the doctor will say your child has glue ear. This is because the fluid has become as thick as glue. This fluid will affect how well your child will hear. Depending on how high the fluid sits in the ear affects how well your child will hear. When the fluid is down, the hearing is better. When the fluid goes up, the hearing is worse.
So, how will you know if your child has middle ear disease?
Lots of times you may not know. Your child may be used to feeling blocked up or used to the pain in their ears, so they may not tell you or complain about the problems they are having.
That's why an ear or hearing check is so important. It's the only way you can find out if there's a problem. If your child complains of pain or you see discharge or gunk from the ear, you will know that something's wrong. Other ways that you might know is that your child does not listen to you, or you might feel something's wrong because you notice your child start to act up.
Another symptom is if your child has loud breathing, or you notice them breathing through their mouth. This is when they can't breathe through their nose quietly because they're all blocked up. Children who have middle ear disease for long periods of time can get used to it and don't complain, so it can be hard to know when they do have it.
Children who can't hear often get bored at school or at home. This is because they hear something like this. After a while, children start to look for something more interesting than a muffled teacher or parent's voice, so they might start to fidget, talk or muck up in class. They might get into trouble at school, and because sometimes they will hear and sometimes they won't, it makes them and others around them feel confused. Many kids with middle ear disease stop going to school or stop playing with friends and family. They even stop talking to parents, aunties or uncles or grandparents. The good news is that there's a program available to help treat middle ear disease for our kids.
Telethon Speech and Hearing run a network of mobile children's ear clinics called ear buses, which travel to schools, kindergartens and playgroups across WA. The ear bus screeners check each child's hearing and ears for middle ear disease. The ear bus service is free. As well as the ear bus screeners, there may be an Aboriginal liaison officer, health worker, GP, nurse or ear, nose and throat specialist as part of the earbus team. The earbus team all work together to make sure that every child can hear all sounds, even the soft ones. Parents sign a consent form to allow their child to be screened.
When the earbus arrives at your child's school, the team will collect consent forms from the Aboriginal and Islander Education Officer or Principal.
All children with a consent form signed by a parent or carer can then visit the earbus.
The screener looks into the child's ear to see if the eardrum looks healthy. Then the eardrum is tested using a small pressure test that gently pushes air against the eardrum. After this, other tests are done to check each child's hearing and inner ear. The results of the test will indicate one of three things.
A child may pass, which means they have good hearing at that time. They can hear their teacher, family or friends. A child may need to be reviewed in 8 to 10 weeks if the test results show that their hearing or ear health is not quite normal. It may improve or become worse. A second test gives the opportunity to get help before things get too bad. We often see this in children who have recently had a cold or might have allergies on the day. Lastly, a child may be referred for medical attention for their ear health or hearing.
After screening is complete, results are reviewed. The earbus GP decides if a medical appointment is needed or if medicine needs to be taken to help the child. The GP services and medications are provided free under Medicare.
Results are sent back to the family and the Aboriginal liaison officer or health worker contacts the family to discuss the results and answer any questions. Medical appointments are then made if needed.
If you have the possibility of the earbus program coming to your school, take it up. You must take it up. It's just so worthwhile. And also engage your community so that it's not anything foreign. The students get used to the earbus coming to the school, which is great. They know as soon as the bus pulls up that they will be going in to get the ears checked. And it's just great, you know, just take it up.
Before I could just hear like little noises in my ear, just like rattling, and couldn't hear properly. But now, thanks to the earbus lady and Swan District for fixing my ear.
Telethon Speech and Hearing operate the earbus program in a network of schools, kindergarten and childcare centres in metropolitan and regional WA. So check with your school to see if the earbus will visit.
If you would like the earbus to see your child, ask your school to call the Telethon Speech and Hearing on 9387 9831.
Healthy ears means good hearing, and with good hearing, your child will be able to listen and learn.